श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। ओम ओम। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णा प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः। प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृततुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला। अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः। पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं। लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुस्तुरासुरगणा। देवाय तस्मै नमः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। देवाय तस्मै नमः। Welcome back to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. We are studying the 9th chapter. We completed reading or studying the 19th verse, wherein Sri Krishna says, I am the giver of heat, I am the giver of rain to the world, and I am, O Arjuna, both immortality and death, both being and non-being. You mentioned last time, I gave you the example of Sri Ramakrishna's vision about the Srishti, that means the origin or the creation, and then the maintenance and the destruction also. Even though the term destruction might seem a little harsh, if we want, we can replace it with the word dissolution or withdrawal. We can samhara or withdrawal, we can use that word. So, but all these three are in the divine, Sri Ramakrishna's vision of the Divine Mother bringing forth a baby into the world and then caressing the baby, looking after, and then gobbling it again. That means sending the baby back into herself. So this shows that indeed whatever happens in the universe is the will of the Lord. For rational beings, it becomes a bit difficult to understand how a compassionate, so-called compassionate Lord can be so cruel also. So, when this question was put to Swami Vivekananda, I think he said, that is the play of the divine. That is the play. So, it is indeed the play of the divine only when we go beyond our concerns or our identity with ourselves as embodied beings. Then only we will be able to understand this. From a very high standpoint of view, if you stand there, then you can see this panorama of the universe coming into being and then disappearing. So, nigrinhami utsrijami cha. So he says, I am the one who holds forth this universe, and I am also the one who sends forth or throws it back. In the next verse, 20th verse, Sri Krishna talks about the futility of the phenomenal existence that we are used to. Says, Traividyamam somapah puta papa yajnairištva svargatim prarthayante te punyamasadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. Traividya mam somapaha. Traividya means the three Vedas. I will first read the running meaning and then try to go to the explanation. Men versed in the Vedas, cleansed of their sins by the performance of sacrifices, attended with the drinking of consecrated soma juice, pray for heavenly regions as the reward for adoring me with those rites. They go to the heaven of Indra, attainable by meritorious deeds, and enjoy heavenly facilities there. Sri Krishna is talking about the three Vedas over here. We all know that there are the four Vedas, but Sri Krishna has taken the three Vedas because the fourth Veda is a later Veda. It was these three were ancient, and apparently the fourth Veda especially deals with science, astronomical, astrological science, and also some technology. Therefore, Sri Krishna talks about these three Vedas, which mainly deal with the sacrifices, the mantras and the brahmanas, the mantras that are the incantations that are used, and then the way they are performed, the rituals that are performed for the betterment of human life. So the Vedas are divided, as most of us are aware of, into two parts called as Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Karma Kanda means the path of action, and the path of Jnana Kanda is the path of knowledge. So, karma, that means action, it guides us or goads us, pravritti. It goads us to go towards enjoyments, it goads us to go towards getting things. Whereas knowledge takes us towards nivritti, that is to withdraw ourselves away from these, because there is no reality in action. So that's what both are included. Sri Krishna is meaning to say here that both are included in the divine, pravritti and nivritti. And those who seek the results out of both of these, they will receive them. There is no doubt about that. The people who try to perform all the rituals, etc., expecting some results. See, it's very ironical. When we all go to temple, we go to the shrine and then we pray before the Lord. And most of us, I cannot say all of us, most of us, when we go, we are very grave in front of the divine, fold our hands, and then pray. Sometimes we cry and say, give me this, give me that, make me, avoid this and all that. Take me away from difficulties and all of, most of us with our gravity. But there are some devotees who go to the temple or a church or a mosque. They just go to the temple in order to be in the presence of the divine. They enjoy the presence of the divine. Their face is full of joy, smiling. They're always in a state of joy. When they go, they sit down and then they thank the divine for whatever has been given to them. If they have given them difficulties, they will also thank you for giving us these difficulties. Thank you for giving us these trials and tribulations. And also thank you for giving all the good that you have given to us. So it is the way we look at it. Am I asking for things, or am I thanking for the things that I have already received? These two things are there. Pravritti and nivritti. These two aspects are in life there. When Swami Vivekananda was lecturing in the United States, he used to, he was a great jnani and also a great bhakta, devotee within. And he used to make fun of everything and then used to narrate lots of incidents and jokes, and would always be in a state of joy. Used to smile and laugh, used to have a very loud laugh, it appears. So, and one of the audience, a person, after his talk, and he used to observe, he used to come every day and observe Swami Vivekananda talking to everyone in great joy. So he came and asked the Swami, Because for him, in the church, everybody would go and everybody would keep very silent and pray and be very grave, and especially the pastor would be very grave, would not even smile. And so he asked, "Well, Swami, I see that you are always laughing and smiling, always in a joyous mood. Don't you ever get serious?" Swami Vivekananda said, "Yes, my dear, I do get serious when I have a stomach upset. That is when I really get serious." And this, of course, later he said, "God is of the nature of joy. Why should we feel that that all the trials and tribulations have come upon our own heads, that the whole universe is resting upon me? No, God is of the nature of joy, Anando Brahma. So just enjoy the presence of the divine." Anyway, so he says, "Traividya mam somapaha putapapaha." Somapaha means those who drink soma. Sri Krishna is talking to us from his standpoint of view, as the Vedic, in a Vedic age. See, in the Vedic rituals, they used to perform all the rituals, and one important ritual was to offer the soma juice. Now there are some debates about whether it was really a juice or it was something else, but that doesn't matter. But somapa. So after the performance of the rituals or the yagas, the offered soma juice would be drunk by the priest and also by the participants in the yaga. And they would be in a state of ecstasy, so to say. So soma, that means they would forget all their trials and tribulations. That is the idea. So somapaha, they used to, even in churches, of course, you offer the wine. And then, of course, if you drink more, you will forget everything. So here, somapaha, that means those who drink this consecrated soma juice and forget all the trials and tribulations. And then they pray for puta papaha. They are cleansed of their sins by performing these yagas or the sacrifices. And what do? They will only pray for heavenly regions as a reward for offering these to the divine. So what do? They go to the heaven of Indra. Means they go to the heavens. So Sri Krishna is not ridiculing these rituals. He says that such prayers and such rituals are essential for those who need it. There is no doubt about that. But one thing must be borne in mind, that while God gives us what we seek for, God also withholds from us what we do not deserve. That must be always borne in mind. God will withhold from us what we do not deserve. He will only, if it is going to hurt us in the long run, He will try to withhold them. But if we are very importunate and say, no, I want it, I'll throw it to you, it's all right, take it, and you get lost. Like Sri Ramakrishna's anecdote about it. When a child was about 14 years old, then he went to the father and say, "Look, I want to start a business and give me some of my entitlements." So the father said, "Look, child, you are still a child, you do not know how to handle money." He said, No, my friends are all doing their business and I want to be a businessman and I can make tons of money. You have worked all of your life, but you have not made much money. So when he became very importunate, then his father said, "All right, take this and get off, get off my back." And he gives him that kind of money. And of course, this child doesn't know how to use that money, and he will lose everything and then come back and then cry. That's what we do. We ask for things that we do not deserve, and yet we keep on praying to the divine, and when it comes, then we will again cry. We will go back to the Lord and say, "Please help me, please help me." Of course, He will come and help us, there is no doubt. So he says, Yagnirištva svargatim prartayante, svargagatim prartayante. That means they ask for or seek for the heavenly state. See, heaven is just another state of life, that's all. Is it there? Well, experienced people say that yes, there is a heavenly state. Beyond the earthly existence, there is another heavenly state. So our subtle body goes there and then enjoys it. Te punyam asadya surendra lokam. So they go and they enjoy it over there. But then they will have to come back again, as I gave that example. Once the money is all exhausted, you go back. There is no doubt about that. The next verse, he is emphasizing this. Te tam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam kshine punye martyalokam vishanti evam trayi dharmam anuprapanna gatagatam kama kama labhante. Having enjoyed the varied facilities of heaven for long, they come back to the world of human beings when their asset of meritorious deeds is exhausted. Thus, being desire-ridden, the followers of the Vedic sacrificial rites stagnate in samsara, that is the repetitive state of going and returning. All these merits that we earn is indeed very short-lived. See, we can go to a theater or a movie at the studio or a theater and we can enjoy the movie, but can we live there forever? No, we cannot live there forever. If you have to watch it again, you have to go back and then buy another ticket and go in. There is no doubt. There you will not be allowed to stay there. So in the same way, here also, if you earn some merits, yes, you will go to this heaven and other places and then come back. Only the thing is, he says, Vishalam Swargalokam. This Swargaloka, these heavens are very vast. That means you can be there for a long time, but even that long time is not enough. You have to come back. So Tvargalokam Vishalam. One of our devotees, he said he once went to Las Vegas and he said, "Swamiji, Las Vegas is like heaven." I said, "Why do you say?" He said, "Go everywhere. There is some place of entertainment or the other. Thousands of entertainment places. Any street you go, there is a place of entertainment." I said, "Well, those entertainment places are good for you as long as you have enough money in your pocket or in your credit card, that's all. Once it is all exhausted, you will have to exit the place. There is no other way. You cannot live there for long." So this Swargaloka is like that, Las Vegas. Swargalokam Vishalam. Martyalokam, they come and enter back into this Martyaloka, that means in this human life. Gata agatam kama kama labante. Gata and agata. Going and coming back. Going and coming back is common. Kama kama labante. These are desire-ridden people. They desire so much and they are full of these desires. want. More of wants. A day will come when you will have to throw out everything and go away. So as long as we have desires, we need to go round and round. Sri Ramakrishna used to give the example. In those days, there were these oil making machines. Even now, there are in some villages, not many. We have, in our childhood, we have seen it. So they used to get all the oil seeds, and there would be a machine. So the bullock, two bullocks would be tied with the rope to the rope and a stick, and they will be going round and round and round, and continuously they are going round and round and round till all the oil is extracted from the seeds. They will have to go round and round and round. So this going round and round is common, and it is something which we'll have to go through. There is no doubt about that. But those who know that the divine is here and now, that knowledge is here and now, that mukti or freedom is here and now, will get it. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Jar ekhane. He who says, here, can we have the child taken downstairs if you don't mind, please? Because this is a serious topic, please. You can go with the kid downstairs.
Okay, so what we will stop. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to stay here and ask questions?
No, please go down. Please go downstairs. That is, the class is going on there. This is another different class. Please. So, one who has the feeling that here and here, one who has the feeling that divine is here and here, will definitely reach. But one who says it's there, shekhane, tar ogyan. One who says it is there and there, it is ignorance. So, kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. Another very telling story that Sri Ramakrishna, example that Sri Ramakrishna used to give, is about the cow and the carding machine. Sri Ramakrishna says, when the cow or the bullock is alive, it will always be saying hamba, hamba. That means I. Always it's saying I. And then when it is dead, the skin is skinned, and then they make drums out of it. And there also it will say hamba, 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 hum. And then he says, there is no end to this suffering of the cow. It's only later that when the entrails of the cow is removed and they are made into a cord for the carding machine. In India, we are all aware that we use cotton beds. Beds and pillows are made out of cotton. So we have this carder going through the villages, even some small towns also. So it's called as dhunki in Hindi. So he will be carrying that carding, I think it is like a bow, and he will go and say, well, do you want to recard your pillow? Yes, we want to, so that the cotton is released slowly. So he will come and he will do that. When he does that, it will make the sound Tuhum, 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 tuhum. So he says, tuhum means thou, 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 O Lord, and not hamba, hamba, not I, but thou, 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 thou. Only when it says thou, 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 you can't do anything much after the after it becomes the entrails, or after it becomes a thread. Now he comes to, Sri Krishna comes to another important verse. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Ye janaha, those people, ananyaha chintayantaha, whoever being devoted to me solely, engage themselves always in contemplation and worship of me, to such ever steadfast devotees, I ensure the procurement of all their worldly, all their wants, and the preservation of their assets, that is, the worldly interests. He says here, Ananyas chintayanta. Na anya chintaya. Anya means something else. Na anya, nothing else. Chintayantaha, one who thinks of me solely, that is, me solely, and not to anything else. Your devotion is solely towards me. Ye janaha paryupasate. Those people who think of me solely and continuously worship. We have also studied before this continuous worship. There's no end to it all the time. The thought of the divine is in a corner of your mind, and all other activities are going on, but you sometimes revisit the thought of the divine. Sometimes you bring in the name of the divine in your daily activities. That is what is called as ananyachinta. That means always, constantly thinking of the divine. And we are used to it. When we have, I've given this example before, when we have a toothache, we may be doing everything during the day, yet a part of our mind is always stuck to the painful tooth over there. Therefore, it is possible for us to keep the remembrance of the divine in a corner of our mind. There is no doubt about that. Ananyas chintayanto maha ye janaha pari upasate tesham nitya abhiyuktanam. Nitya abhiyuktanam, of those ever steadfast devotees. Nitya abhiyukta. So, what happens? Yogakshemam vahami. Aham yogakshemam vahami. I ensure the supplying of their wants and preserving their assets also. That is, if we give ourselves totally to the divine will definitely take responsibility of our needs. There is no doubt at all. Somehow we feel that if we do not ask God, then God will forget our requirements. That is how we feel. That's why we go and it is nothing wrong. It is probably essential for our mental peace also. It is essential, there's no doubt. But God is like an ocean of mercy, ahetuka kripa sindhu, ocean of mercy. And He is the one who gives us without even our asking. Just analyze your own lives and see how the grace of the divine has helped us in so many ways, even without our thinking about it, definitely not with our asking. Without our asking, it has come, but it has just come to us. There is no doubt about that. So, we should um, we should have that reliance upon the divine and think that the divine is, no doubt, definitely, the divine is with us and that God is looking after us. Many stories, I will tell a few. Sri Ramakrishna, illustrating this, Sri Ramakrishna says, there was a young brahmacharin, a young novice. He had joined the Guru's ashram when he was very young, and so he was looked after. Then he was invested with the sacred thread, and as it was the rule, he had to go and beg from people's homes and get some alms, bring it, and share it with the rest of the students and the teacher. It's a discipline that had to be followed. So one day he goes and he was so secluded, always living within the monastery, that he had not seen many people. So when he used to go for alms to some houses, and the women would give him some alms every day. Then one day when he knocked at a house, the lady came out, and along with her there was a young girl, about 12-year-old girl. So this young brahmachari, he saw, "Mother, what has happened to your daughter?" Said, "What is it, my child?" I see some abscesses in her chest. So the mother said, "Well, my child, she is a girl, and then in due course she will get married and she will have a child, and God has given her the breasts so that she can feed her child." Oh, that means God has provided her with this even before she becomes a mother, and also she will be able to look after her own child and feed the child. So she doesn't have to go and ask for food anywhere, or she doesn't have to cook the food for her child. He said, "Yes, my child, that is how God has provided." Oh, in that case, why am I coming and begging food here? I don't have to do that. If God is the one who is the provider, He will provide food for me anywhere. I don't have to go. I will go and sit and God will provide it for me. That kind of a faith he had. I have heard one incident, a similar type of story from one of our own monks. I have seen him. He was a disciple of Holy Mother. He was in Vrindavan, and he had heard that in those days Vrindavan was not as developed as it is today. This was about 80-90 years ago. So he had heard that if he is there, he does not have to worry about his own food. Radha Rani, Sri Krishna's beloved, would provide for everyone within the bounds of that town. So he said, "Well, if that is so, I am not going out, wasting my time going out to get any alms." So he would not go out to get any food. Generally, monks all go. There are places where these bhiksha is given, alms are given, but he would not go at all. So it is said that he would just sit and he would study and then meditate throughout the day. And indeed, some days he may go without food, but then some food or the other would come from somewhere, and he would see that some lady would come and leave the food just outside his room and would disappear. This happened not once but many, many times. He was very firm that the divine would provide for him. There is no doubt about that. A few years ago, um, we were doing some relief work in Kanyakumari district in South India. So some of our monks from Coimbatore, our center, they had taken rations, and they actually first they had to go and do a survey of the flood affected areas, and they were supposed to go back and then they would bring back all the relief supplies. So these few monks, they had gone there and they were walking in the water the whole day. And then they asked somebody, where can we stay? So they said, oh, that school building is there, so that is vacant, you can go and stay there. So they went there, they had a small picture of Holy Mother, and so they in a calendar, and then they put it, nailed it over there, and the whole day they had not eaten, and they said, well, it is time, we shall retire for the day. And just at that time, it was almost 9:30 or so in the night, they heard a knock at their door. Please open, please open. I said, what? Oh, well, I have come with all this food. Please have it. So the monk said, no, probably you have mistaken. We didn't order any food. He said, no, 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 no. You did not order any food at all, but I have been asked to go. So this man was a priest in the local temple of the Divine Mother somewhere in that village. And he finished his worship and then he went to retire for the night. And when he went to sleep, this divine form of the Mother, actually this picture of the Holy Mother, she came to him and said, wake up, my children are not having any food. Cook some food and take it over there. So where to go? No, 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 go there. That school building is there, you go. So he cooked that food, got his food cooked, and then took it. And then when he entered, and he saw the picture of Holy Mother. Oh, this is the Devi that I have. He had not even known who Holy Mother was. This is the Devi. And so he offered the food. The Swamis were full of tears and said, well, the Lord's words are very true enough. If we dedicate ourselves, the Lord will bring the wherewithal. There is no doubt about that. Swami Vivekananda was traveling in North India, probably in Uttar Pradesh, by train. And then Swamiji it was long in those days, it was narrow gauge. They used to travel for hours and hours, very slow traveling trains. As he was going, in front of him was seated a businessman. And he had brought with him a lot of food. And he was eating the food always. And then he was mocking at Swami Vivekananda. He said, hey Babaji, look at yourself. You have given up everything and then you are begging for food and you are begging for your necessities. And here I am. I work hard and I earn a lot of money, and see the varieties of food that I have been packed, I have been given from my wife. So he went on eating and just passing on these remarks at Swamiji. Swamiji just kept quiet. He didn't say anything at all. Then came the next railway station and Swamiji got down and he was really very tired, hungry and thirsty. So he just sat under a tree. It was a very warm day. He sat under a tree and almost dozed off. Just at that time, one man came with a leaf plate and lot of food, brought it in a wicker basket and then laid it before him and said, Babaji, Babaji, get up, get up. I said, what? Oh, no, no, you must have this food. He said, no, I think you are wrong, you are mistaken. It is not, I didn't ask for food. He said, no, no, my Ramji, my Sri Rama, Ramji told me that this Babaji is sitting there in the railway platform. Cook some food, make some puris and other a vegetable and then take it to him and then give it to him. So he took it and gave it to Swamiji, and Swamiji was full of thankfulness to the divine, and then he then had mocked at the businessman and said, "Look here, I take the name of the Lord and the Lord gives me whatever I want. There is no need for it." It's indeed. But should we not make our own efforts? Yet, yes, we should make our own effort, but rely upon the divine. Our ultimate source is the divine. It comes from the divine and it goes back to the divine. Another interpretation of Yoga Kshema is that it is Yogasya Kshema. Yogasya Kshema is, Yoga means here the spiritual life. Spiritual life. Kshema, I will look after the spiritual welfare of my devotee. That's what he says. The safety and the success of spiritual life is taken care of by the divine. Wherever the divine sees, whenever the divine notices that there are some obstacles in our spiritual path, if we are devoted to the divine, he will come and take care of us. There is no doubt about that. Finally, another interesting story in the life of a devotee. I forget the name, probably, I don't know whether it was Sridhara Swami who wrote a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. He was a householder, very poor Brahmin, a scholar. He used to teach some students, and then during this Chaturmasya, when the 4 months in a year when there is rain, generally the school is closed, and so there is no income when the students do not come. So this man, this devotee was going to the river to take his bath. Before that, he read this verse, exactly the same verse, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Vahami means I bear the burden. Vahami means I carry. So I will carry your burden. So he thought maybe the author might have made a mistake. Why should the divine carry our burden? So he says, Yoga Kshemam Dadamyaham. He took a pen and then he cancelled it, Vahamyaham, and he wrote, Dadamyaham, I will give you whatever you need. Your necessities will be fulfilled by me. He wrote it and then he told his wife, look here, I am going to the river to take my bath. And she said, well, when you are doing so, just go somewhere and get some groceries. All right, I will see what I can beg for. So he took his towel and then he went to the river to take his bath. In the meantime, the wife saw that her husband returned. Within a few minutes, he returned, and this time he returns with a big basket full of all groceries. And he brought it and then told her, look here, I got all these groceries, cook a good meal. We haven't eaten for a long time, a good meal for a long time, just cook for us. So she started cooking. And then after an hour or so, this devotee went and got something from somewhere and was coming back, and he sees that there is smoke in the house and that some cooking is happening. He came and said, well, you said there are no groceries. I went to beg some groceries, and here I see that you have got enough groceries and you are cooking. She said, you are out of your mind. You were the one who came a few minutes, an hour ago, and then gave all of these groceries, and you went there to your book, did something, and then you went to have your bath. He said, no, I did not get any groceries for you. So anyway, he came and then he went to his book, and then again he says that it was again stricken and it was rewritten, Vahamyaham, that I will bear your burden. It is then that he realized, indeed, the Lord bears our burden, not only gives, but he also bears our burden. So many of you have heard that very famous story in the footprints in the sands of time. So that's how the Lord says, where you do not see your footprints, it is there that I carried you at the most difficult circumstances. I have carried you. So the essence is that when we dedicate ourselves, when we pour ourselves out to the divine does not have any other choice but to take care of ourselves. But as long as we have our ego, we will continue to do whatever we are doing. But at the back of our mind, let us have this assurance of the Lord that He will take care of us. He will shepherd us through. Shantakaram bhujagashayanam padmanabham suresham vishwadharam gaganasadrisham meghavarnam shubhangam Lakshmikantam kamalanayanam yogiridhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum bhavabhayaharam sarvalokaikanadam Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.